Lady Charmaine, and my guest today is one of the newest cast members of Lifetime's hit reality show, Preacher's Daughters. And she's here today to talk about season 3, airing on Friday. So help me welcome Miss Cierra Vaughn. Welcome, Cierra.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I just got to tell the audience, see, we did this interview just a few minutes ago, and I accidentally deleted the entire interview. So she was so sweet to come back and do the interview again. So we're just going to have a good time. And as I just said, Cierra, you're one of the newest members of the show, Preacher's Daughters. Just let the audience know briefly, why did you even decide to even become a part of the show? Why did you even decide to even audition?
Well, I watched the first episode of Preacher's Daughters, the first couple of seasons, and, I realized all Preacher's Daughters aren't perfect, and we all do have our issues, and at first I thought that maybe I was one of the few Preacher's Daughters in the world that didn't struggle with certain problems, such as drinking and boys, and to see other girls that struggle with the same issues that I have on a day-to-day basis with the church looking at them. I just thought that it would be a really good idea if I auditioned for it, and I thought that, my story will be really good for the show.
Now, to be honest with you, I love the show. And this is what I like about the show. For me, it has its pros and its cons. And it's almost like when you're in Christendom, when you're a Christian, you don't want that part of Christendom to be seen. Our daughters out there partying and they're out there drinking. But if we're going to talk about reality, it is reality. We know that our daughters should be living a certain way, but let's be honest. This is what really happens, and the girls and our children have to find their own way, because there comes a time in your life you can't ride on mom and daddy's salvation, that they really do have to find their own way. And I think that that's what the audience is going to get a chance to see. There are young ladies who just have to find their own way when it comes to serving the Lord. And I wanted to know, with you being a part of this cast, what do you think you bring to the show this season?
Well, I think that, because my views on Christianity, they're so strong and basically they're just set in stone. So since I'm very vocal and I'm very outspoken, I think that, basically I'll bring a lot of controversy to the show, because there's a lot of things now that the world is accepting of that I look back on my biblical views and I'm not accepting of what the world is accepting of because of that, because of the morals and values that my parents have instilled in me. So while most of the girls on the show, they have a little leeway on certain topics, me, there's either you're in or you're out. So I'm very strong-headed about certain subjects. And I think that, with me being so outspoken, that a lot of people will be able to hear what I have to say, in my opinion, on certain topics.
Now, when you auditioned for the show, were you expecting it to be like the last 2 seasons? Did you expect to even be going on a missions trip?
I did not expect to be going on a missions trip. I actually was very surprised when I found out we were going on a missions trip, but at the same time I was excited because I never went out the country before. And then on top of that, I will be helping other people come to Christ that are in different countries, and that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. We're supposed to spread God's love all around the world. So I felt like that was perfect for me. And at the same time, we were going to be in Cabo, Mexico, where it's beautiful and you have a beach. So, I thought it would be very fun for me to experience this.
Now, have you ever been in a house that had this many girls in it? And what was it like, the dynamic? Because there's so many different personalities. Have you ever had that experience before?
Well, actually, I have 3 sisters and 2 nieces. So I'm in a house with a lot of girls for the most part. But all me and my sisters, we have very strong personalities. Being in a house with these girls, everybody's personality wasn't so strong. So depending on what I said or how I said it, people would get their feelings hurt, and I wasn't used to that. So I really had to learn how to talk to people and how to change the tone of my voice when being in the house with all of these girls. But being around a lot of girls, yeah, I'm definitely used to that. But being around these type of girls, I wasn't so used to. I had to, get used to it as time went on.
Now, how did this missions trip change you? Because people are going to notice in the first and the second episode that you're going to be in some conditions that you do not like. So how did this change you as a person for the good, being on this show? and on this mission trip?
Exactly. On the first and second episode, I definitely do a lot of complaining. I'm not going to lie about that. However, it was a very humbling experience. Although I did a lot of complaining, at the end of the day, I made sure I went to every single mission, and I really did put my all into it. Even though I would complain, and sometimes it would take me a little longer to do things, I would still do it because I knew it was for God. And, sometimes you have to put yourself aside and your own fleshly desires aside, and you have to do what's right. So it made me become a more humble individual, and, it allowed me to realize that these people come first. I don't come first, and God comes first. So, it really allowed me to open my eyes.
Now, watching this show with your family, and you saw how you did a little bit of complaining. What was some of the feedback that you received from even your family, and what were you thinking of yourself watching the show?
Well, there's this one scene on the preview where I'm in a skirt and I'm actually standing on the table and I'm like twerking. And my father just looked at me and he's like, "Really, Sierra? Wrong answer." And I'm just like, oh boy. And this is just the start of it because there's way more scenes where I'm like dancing in the club because I love to dance. When I was throwing back the shots, it was pretty hard to explain to my parents, but at the same time, they know that that's something that I've, struggled with even back at home. So they are aware that I drink. But looking at myself, I didn't realize that on some scenes I was getting as loud with the girls as I was. And I'm like, wow, like that really came off the wrong way. And one of the scenes was the scene with me and Christiana. When I saw it, I didn't realize that I came off that way until I saw it. And I was like, wow, I could have came off differently, a little more humble, a little more subtle. However, the same point is there. I still, stand my ground on what I was saying to her, but I could have said it in a different way.
So it really helped you for the better then?
Yes, it definitely helped me for the better. It definitely did.
Now, with you watching it back and seeing all the partying that was going on in the houses and the young lady that says, I got my yak and I got, looking back and seeing you guys as a whole now, because it's different when you're in it and then when you're watching it, on TV and seeing that whole situation. What do you think all of you in the house could have done a little bit better to, let me see, I'm trying to put this in a good way, because you saw yourself one, and then, but what do you think you guys could have done as a whole, as a group who loved the Lord, could have done better to give a better image of Christian women?
The thing is this, I feel like if we would have changed anything that we did, we would not have been ourselves. Mm-hmm. And although we would have given a better image of being a good Christian woman, it wouldn't have been true. Okay. So I honestly think that the way we were, was the best way that the best thing we could have done was just to be ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. Although, we do have a lot of things we need to change. Me personally, I'll speak for myself. There's a lot of things that I did in the house and said in the house where I looked and I'm like, wow, I actually felt like I was a hypocrite sometimes. But at the same time, I was being myself. I wasn't going to hide the fact that I drink because that's something that I do. I always shouldn't drink as much as I do, but that's something that I do, and that's something that I'm working on. And I think that's the main point that we want to get to viewers, is that although we do sinful things, some of us, not all of us, realize that they're wrong and we're working on them and we're trying to make a difference. And that's the point that I want to get out to the viewers, is that I'm trying to become a better me, but at the same time, I didn't want to change anything that I did on TV because I was just being myself, honestly. That's the real Sierra that the whole world is going to see.
See, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that everyone has their struggles. Even in Christendom, we love the Lord, but we still have our own personal struggles like everyone else does. And everyone else is still battling. Even if you're not in Christendom, you have a struggle too. And that's what I do believe that this show is bringing across. But I guess some people is going to judge you because you see so many girls that are out there. But guess what? You guys are no different than anyone else's daughter that's battling the same thing. The title of the show, Preacher's Daughter, is just because you're a preacher's daughter. But don't just look at it as a preacher's daughter. There are young ladies who still trying to find their way. And just as adults, as myself, I'm in my 40s. I found my way, but I'm still continuing to find my way. And
Exactly.
I'm still dropping off things even in my life. And although I've been walking with the Lord 25 years, there's still things that God is continually working on with me, because as the scripture says, he's going to perfect those things that concern you. So if people can watch it and not be judgmental, but watch it as these young ladies, everybody has gone through it. Everybody's been drinking. I went to Mexico when I was in college, and you guys remind me of me. That's what I did in Mexico. That was me. You know what I mean? So I can't watch the show being judgmental, because the only thing is mine wasn't on television. Many people do the same thing.
And that's the
it's
thing
not on TV.
that I say is that the thing that I think is that we're just showing you what your kids do behind your back. Like, in reality, they don't know because their kids aren't on TV. So you can place your child up on this high pedestal like they're all perfect because they're a preacher's kid, but do you really know everything your kids are doing behind your back?
And that's, and that's good. And my goal is, as I watch the show, my goal is to see growth. So prayerfully, as the episodes go on, we're able to see growth, in all of you. And I just want to say congratulations for making it on the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I just want to remind everyone to make sure they tune in Fridays to Preacher's Daughters, so you can check out Cierra Vaughn and all the new cast members. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lady